Hey guys, what's up? It's Natasha and welcome back to this week's video. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. It's a new year, it's full of new challenges, and I thought why not just dive into the January tag created by Jane Agaton. I'll link her channel down below if you want to go check it out. Before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe, and if you see any of the questions you want to answer, feel free to comment down below. And without any further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So the first question is, what was the last and first, if you remember, book you read last year? If I can remember correctly, my first book was A World Without Princes. I can't remember the author's name. I remember their surname, but I can't remember the name. Anyway, I gave this book, I think, 3 stars because it was okay to me. But I really want to continue the series. I don't know, the book last year just didn't do it for me. And my last book was A Court of Sugar and Spice by Rebecca F. Kinney. And it was a very spicy nutcracker retelling of which I gave 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars. The second question is, what is your first read this year? I've already completed this and I have read Dance of Stars and Ashes by Nisha J. Tully. It's an ARC that I received from the author herself, and it's coming out on February 16th. It's the second book in the Nightfire, I can't say this, quartet. There we go. The first book was A Heart of Night and Fire, and I adored this book so much. It was my favorite book of August, and Dance of Stars and Ashes is obviously my favorite book so far of January. I ate this book up. If you are looking for a romance fantasy story, she bases all her stories on South Asian culture, and you can see it that it's so prevalent in these books, and I really adored these books so much. The culture is just amazing. The mentions of the clothing that people wear are just so colorful, and the creation of the world is just so amazing. You learn about the world along with the character because the character was kind of isolated for the last 20 years. She lived in this small cottage and wasn't allowed to venture far from the cottage. So after 20 years, the person, her ward basically, who looked after her just disappears, and the shields around this sea cottage also disappears, and she ventures into this large city filled with cultural experiences and vampires and what do you call them? Benders, firebenders. It's a mesh of everything, and I just love it so much. So yeah, definitely check it out if you want to go read it. But the third question is, share 3 of your reading goals this year. My first reading goal is to get to 85 books read this year. I achieved that last year when my goal was 60, and I'm thinking 85 is it's a good number. I think I can reach that. After I read 85 books last year, when I finished A Court of Sugar and Spice, I was just like, that's it. I'm done reading. I can't anymore. I can't look at books anymore. So yeah, 85 I think is a good number. The second goal I have is to read more of my physical books, but I've been making a Notion page, kind of like a reading journal, but it's on Notion, of all the books that I own, physical ebook. And now I have also jumped to Everend, where I saved a lot of books, but I don't get to them. And every time there's a new audiobook coming out and I'm just like, ooh, this looks interesting, and save it, but I never get to them. So my goal is to get to them, basically. I want to read more of what I have currently on my TBR than just getting new books and reading them, that kind of thing. And then my third goal would be to declutter all the books that I owe, but I know I'm never going to read again. There's a few that I've already seen that I want to sell because I'm never going to read them. If I don't like them, why am I keeping them? The fourth question is, share 3 of your most anticipated titles. The first one was Dance of Stars and Ashes. I've already received that, so I'm happy about that, but I'm keeping it on the list. The second one is House of Flame and Shadow. I bought this book physically, and although it's coming out at the end of this month, I see the delivery date is only at the end of February, and I'm very upset about that, but it's fine. At least I can still have the book, and I will eventually read it when I receive it. I don't know why it's going to take so long, but yeah. And then I think the third book, I don't actually have a third book that I'm really excited about. I think it's just those 2, basically, because I can't think of another one that I am dying to read. Can't think of anything. Fifth question. Which goals did you reach or not reach last year? So my first goal, as I've mentioned before, was to read 60 books. I far exceeded that, so I was happy about that. The second goal I had, I remember, was writing more. Didn't do it. I just don't have the desire to write. I've recently discovered that it's because I've been writing in first person, so I want to change the narrative to third person and see if that sparks my writing enthusiasm again. And then my third goal was to be more creative, learn sewing or something like that. I didn't do that. Is this based on reading goals? It doesn't say reading goals, so those were my general goals. If we're gonna go with reading goals, I would say my other reading goal was to read more Afrikaans books. I read one. So kudos for me for reading one of them. And then the other goal was to read more classics. I read two. You know, so it is what it is. I'm trying to read more Afrikaans and read more classics this year, but if it's going to come to fruition, I don't know. The sixth question is, are there new releases this year you've heard of that you have no desire to read? No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think from the releases I've seen so far, but I don't think there's one that I'm really not interested in. Obviously, if new releases come and there's a lot of hype around it, I'll probably dive into it. But I don't base my reading goals off of releases because that would just give me too much stress. The seventh question is, what are some reading habits you want to change this year, if any? I don't think I have any. I'm trying to think, but I don't think there's like any reading habits or bad habits that I've learned, or any habits. I don't think you can call it bad habit. I'm happy with how I'm reading, with how I'm going about everything. So, nothing to change. Same old me. The eighth question is, are there any adaptations you're excited about? No. Here's the thing about me. Hate's a strong word. I don't like looking at adaptations. I still need to see Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but it's not like on the forefront of my reading or my watching list. I don't want to see it because I enjoyed the book and I've heard great things about the movie as well. But I know directors have this thing where they change some of the things from the books to the movies, and I know it's a viewer thing. I know why they change it. It's just that I've had bad experiences with books adapting to movies and books being adapted to series. You cast the characters in your mind, and when you see it, you're like, oh, not how I pictured you. So especially with the Maze Runner, comparing that from book to movie, it is entirely different. And although I love the first movie, the second and the third movie, I was just like, the third movie I watched 5 minutes of, and I just couldn't get over the fact that they changed so much. I was like, you know what? No. So I have a bad relationship with movie and series adaptations. So no, there's none I'm looking forward to. Short and sweet answer. No. Okay, the ninth question is, favorite bookish memory of last year? I would say my read-alongs with my best friend. We read the whole of the Rovka series, or the Carryovers series, and we are busy reading the Hellbane series, or the Ninth House series, and we're going to continue with our read-alongs every month. And next month we are starting with the Vampire Academy reading vlog or reading experience, because I've never read the books and I've never seen the show. So yeah, it's very exciting. And then I think we're going to take a break when Lee Bardugo's The Familiar comes out, so we're going to read that again, and then we're going to jump back into Vampire Academy. So I'm very excited about that. We'll see how that goes, but that is like one of the best memories I've had. Question number 10 is, any carryovers from last year that you still plan on finishing? Oh boy, there's so much. The Virgin River series, for one. Secondly is the School for Good and Evil series. I can't remember what you call it, but that series. The Women of the Otherworld series. I've been gushing about the series for forever, so I'm not going to delve into that. The Play to Prisoner series. I need to check. I'm scanning. Obviously the Crescent City series, but everyone's waiting for that one. I'm sure there are a lot more, but I think those are like my main ones. And like Cassandra Clare's The Shadowhunter series, like the Infernal Devices, Last Hour series, and the other one who I always forget. But those I think I want to continue reading this year as well. Okay, and that is the questions for the January tag. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to answer any or all of the questions down below in the comments. I love to see all your answers, or just a random comment down below of how you think your year is going to go. And I'll see you guys in a video next week. Bye. My phone's hot.